Hey guys, welcome back to another video. So it's been a while since I have uploaded a long video, but here it is. Before we continue, check out zap.gg. Are you guys tired of looking for trades and finding absolutely nothing? Do you guys want fruits like these? Well, if you do, look no further. The sponsor of today's video, zap.gg, is a trading website that you can use to find trades for not only Blox fruits, but multiple other popular games. It only takes a few seconds to post trades or make offers. Check out the website, the link will be in the description. Let's get back to the video. So in this video, I will be telling you guys the best swords for each seed. Now with the new update, all the swords are already pretty good. But the swords in this video are weapons that are good for both PvP and grinding levels. That's why some of your favorite swords may not be included in this video, because they are either bad for grinding levels or bad for PvP. And keep in mind, I am not ranking the swords in any order. You can choose which weapon you like and go with it. Anyways, let's begin with the first C. So the first sword for this video is going to be the saber. You get this weapon really early on in the game. You only need to be level 200 to do the quest for this sword. This weapon released in the first update for the game, and you have to complete a series of puzzles to unlock this sword. Although the base version of this sword is pretty bad, but once you evolve it, this sword turns into a beast. Even though the left clicks for the move are quite slow, the abilities themselves make up for it. Both of the skills have a chance to do a critical hit, which instantly deals large amounts of damage to your enemy. This can be good for grinding since the skills themselves don't do much knockback to the enemy. Also, the critical hits can do quite a bit of extra damage to the NPCs when you are grinding, so that can speed up your quests. Because of the critical hit, you can also use this weapon in PvP to do the fastest one-shot combos in the game, and it's overall a really awesome weapon. The second sword for the first C is going to be Dark Blade. Well, you can buy the Game Pass in any C, so I guess this sword can be included for every C. Anyways, the Dark Blade is an exclusive Game Pass weapon, and you can only get it by trading or buying it yourself. This sword does not need a lot of mastery for the moves, which is good. Especially for the first C, since the NPCs there do not give a lot of mastery for your weapons. One advantage that the Dark Blade has over the Saber is that the M1 speed is much faster compared to the Saber sword, so it may help you grind a bit quicker if you are using Buddha Fruit along with it. Both the skills of the Dark Blade combo into each other, so you can do a bunch of damage to the NPCs while grinding. Not only that, but just like the Saber, you can evolve this weapon by doing a certain puzzle, which is not that difficult. But once you do that, your Dark Blade gets upgraded into Dark Blade V2, which is way better for grinding. Along with that, the damage for the weapon is also pretty high, so you can easily use this in grinding and in PvP to kill your enemies faster. Overall, it's a pretty great sword. Let's move on to the next one. The third and final sword. For the first C is going to be the Soul Cane weapon. It is common knowledge that the Soul Cane has a really nice stun move which you can abuse in combos. That's why even though it's a first C weapon, a lot of people use it in the second and the third C. Well, luckily you don't have to do any sort of quests, but you need to at least 750,000 cash to buy it from an NPC in Volcano Island. You require 125 mastery to unlock both moves. Soul Cane is on this list because you can definitely use this to make some pretty nasty combos in the second and third Cs. Also, both of the moves are good for farming levels since they can damage multiple NPCs and have little to no knockback. Having no knockback on abilities is insanely helpful for farming since the mobs don't get flinged, so you can kill all of them at once if you use it correctly. This wraps up everything for the first C, and now let's rank the 3 best swords for the second C. So the first sword for the second C is going to be the Pole V2. Now, like I mentioned earlier, some of the swords such as True Triple Katana won't be included in this video because even though they are great at PvP, they are quite bad for farming levels compared to the other weapons you can get in the second C. So to get the Pole V2, you will need to first awaken Rumble, and then do the Rumble raid once again. Then you can buy it for 5,000 fragments. The mastery requirements for this weapon are quite high, so you should probably not get it if you are new to the second C. But there are some upsides to this weapon as well. Firstly, once you master it, both of the moves can combo into each other. Not only that, but the damage is quite high and you also stun the opponents. Stunning the opponents is useful in both grinding and PvP since it keeps the enemy in place and lets you use other abilities if you have to. You can use this in PvP and make some really insane combos. The hitbox for this sword is bigger than the soul cane, so this makes it better than the first sea soul cane. That's pretty much it for the pole, though. Let's move on to the second sword. The second sword of the second sea is going to be the gravity cane. Now, the gravity cane might as well be the most underrated sword that got reworked in this update. The gravity cane rework makes it really, and I mean really, useful for grinding. This weapon is a boss drop from the Fajita boss in the Green Zone Island. It may be quite difficult to get though because the rarity is quite low. However, once you master it, the weapon does great damage for both of the moves. You can also combo the moves into each other to do some easy damage. This weapon is good for grinding since both of the moves hit multiple players and they do no knockback, so you can kill the mobs really quickly. And for PvP, both of the moves for this sword break observation hockey, so it's really useful, and you can make some really insane combos with this sword. In my opinion, it's simply the perfect sword other than the fact it has a small hitbox. It would be too OP if it had a bigger hitbox. Anyway, let's move on to the third sword for this sea. The third sword for this sea is going to be the Wando. Some of you may be wondering why the other legendary swords were not included. That is because the Shisui sword may be good for PvP and decent for grinding. However, the hitbox for the abilities is really small, so it makes it quite hard to land combos against moving players. And the Sati sword is not included because both of the moves can be dodged with observation hockey. Anyway, the Wando is really good for farming since it does high damage, but it also has a long-range ability. And for PvP, it may not be as good as Shisui, but if you stick to it, you can also pull off some really cool one-shot combos with this weapon. That's pretty much it for the swords for Second Sea. Let's move on to the last few swords. Alright, so the first sword for this sea is obviously going to be the cursed dual katana. Everyone probably expected this mostly because the swords that you obtain in the third sea are usually just good for PvP and pretty bad for farming. But the cursed dual katana is pretty good for both of them since it has a decently fast M1 speed. And you can charge both of the moves for this sword to do some insane amounts of damage. But you will probably not be getting the cursed dual katana for a while since first you need to obtain the Tushita and the Yama. However, another pretty good sword for the third sea is going to be the Hallow Side. This weapon is way easier to get compared to the cursed dual katana. And not only that, but this weapon is also pretty amazing for grinding since the M1 speed is really fast. The moves probably aren't the best for farming since they knock the player away, but if you have managed to reach third sea, you might as well get the Buddha fruit and awaken it so it makes your grind a bit easier. For the PvP aspect of the game, you can use the Hallow Scythe to pull off some decent combos. It may not be as flashy as the cursed dual katana, but every sword in the game is good if the player can use it right. That's pretty much it for all my sword rankings for this video. Comment down if you agree with them or not. But that's pretty much it for this video. Subscribe and like if you haven't already. Thank you guys for watching, and I will see you guys in the next video. Goodbye.